Welcome to a Community Partners interview, where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make change in our daily lives. I'm your host, Nafisah Anif, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Becky Kurtz, the Executive Director of Aspire Community and Developmental Services. Aspire Community and Developmental Services empower neurodivergent young people to gain independence, connect with their community, and rise to their fullest potential. It is their belief that every human being deserves to be treated with respect and dignity while given the opportunity to live a full and inspiring life of inclusion. Thank you for joining us today, Becky.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
Amazing. So tell us a little more about yourself and what inspired you to establish Aspire Community and Developmental Services. I work with individuals with disabilities.
Yeah, so my journey started way back when I was in elementary school. I worked with two young boys who were on the autism spectrum, and I would just love their way of seeing the world, watching them grow and do things just a little bit differently as their brain was processing the information just a little bit differently. Then as I went into my high school career, I worked at a summer camp and worked with young children, teens, and adults with various developmental disabilities. And we had so much fun. It was seeing people who really those little small wins in their day, bringing the tiny little things that bring joy, and watching them do really cool things is what kind of inspired me to head into the field of developmental services. I've worked across numerous different positions, whether that's the school board, in the autism world as a consultant, or in IBI behavior therapy. And as I continued on my journey, I really noticed there was a bit of a lack of support for our teens and our young adults. There was a lot of, where we're from, just north of Toronto in Ontario, there's not a lot of support as you get further away from the bigger city. And that really got to me, and hearing parents say, well, what's next? Where do I learn these life skills? Where does my teen go after high school? What do we do? And that's what really stuck with me is what can we do? We can do really great things, but there's not a lot of support for people who are neurodivergent and their brain just works in a different way, which kind of led me into developing Aspire Services, where I wanted to create a space where our neurodivergent people could come and learn those skills that they needed to be successful. So they could learn individually. Everyone's goals might be slightly different. Everyone's path to get to their goals is going to be slightly different. And that's kind of what led me to creating this space for teens and young adults, because I really love to see that teens grow into adults, but they grow into something where they have goals and they're supported and they can do the cool things. We just need to show them kind of how to do that and be their cheerleader. They just need someone to say, you can do great things. How are we going to get there? So that's kind of how my path started, kind of when I was in elementary school, all the way. My entire adult career has been working with people with developmental disabilities and various neurodivergencies. Just very passionate for it. I think everyone can do really cool stuff, and it's really inspiring to watch our young people see these huge goals, like maybe getting licenses, graduating from post-secondary, graduating from high school, meeting new friends, getting employment. Really great goal, and it's so cool to be behind that, cheering them on and watching them do these great things.
I love your passion. I really do.
Thank you. It's something I hope that can pass on to other people as well, and see that we can make a very inclusive world and where everyone can do really great things.
That's amazing. And when doing my research and learning more about your organization, I saw that you have a couple of services to offer. Can you tell us a little more about those services?
Yeah, for sure. So we offer life skills coaching, and that's in like a one-to-one setting with that goal to create or help our young people to develop those life skills to be as independent as possible. Now, that looks different for everyone because everyone's goals are slightly different. So in our coaching, we work to find strategies that work for each person to reach their goals and be independent and do what their dreams are. So we work to find those strategies. So everybody's strategies might look different. We just have to figure out what's actually going to work for each person. We work with that coaching across lots of different domains of support. So that might look like kitchen and cooking skills, community skills, social skills, executive functioning, driving, post-secondary support, among many others. And our goal is to keep going, watching people grow in a coaching format. So we have goals that we're working towards, but somebody might come to us and say, I had a really tough day today with social interaction. I don't know how to navigate it. And we can be flexible and help to navigate that so that next time, hopefully that social interaction is a little more positive, or whatever's kind of going on that day, we can help to navigate those situations. And inspire people to navigate, problem solve, and reach their goals. And we also do our small group programming. Now that varies every quarter of the year. So right now we have our summer programs out. Typically there's programs for teens and adults, and they vary. Could be things like life skills, could be creative and social hour, might be a cooking group, might be a gamers group for our teens. We've got peer connection chat group going, some virtual, some in person, depending on where people might need support from. So we do typically support mostly in the Barrie area of Ontario, but our virtual programs are accessible to anybody who has access to a computer across the country of Canada, which is really quite cool. And then we also have our meeting place, which is a social club for anyone 18 plus. Come hang out, social place. We do different things every week. We could be doing things like board game nights, bingo, checking out the local arcade, going out for dinner, hanging out and playing mini golf, depending on the season. Just a space where people can come, meet some social connections, have some social interactions in a really safe and positive place.
That sounds wonderful. And I also saw that you have something called the Social Zone. Can you tell us a little more about the Social Zone?
Yeah, so the Social Zone is our teen social club. So we have the adult one for 18 plus, and then the Social Zone is for our teens 13 to 17. Kind of the same idea. It's a space for our teens to come in a safe, connected place, meet some peers, work on their social skills, and just do different things around the community. So things, again, could be like bingo nights and board game and checking out mini golf and arcade and going out into the community. And it's a good place for teens to come that are looking for people that have like-minded interests, activities, and you're likely to find someone that plays a similar video game or watches a movie because our interests might align in that group.
That's great. And also going through your website, I saw that you have a podcast. What will listeners hear on the podcast?
So we don't actually have a podcast. We have been on a guest of a podcast. So we were on a couple local podcasts in the area that we've shared more about our programs. But anyone is welcome to reach out and we can chat. We can set up a meeting. I don't have my own podcast just yet. I don't know that I'm courageous enough, right, to get it started at the moment.
Yeah, podcasts can definitely be something that they are very informative for sure, very meaningful, but they do take a lot of time and energy, definitely.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's something too, like we're kind of going out of your comfort zone. And I haven't quite built myself up just yet.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will.
Yeah, maybe one day. I'll keep it on my goal board that I have.
Perfect. And when it comes to assigning supports and resources, what is the process for determining what supports or resources are required?
Yeah, so when somebody reaches out, we meet for an intake. So I always like to have a meeting with someone, explore their goals, explore kind of what they're kind of after and how can we find the right program. And then for our programs as well, we always have two coaches. So for group programs, there's always two coaches. And then in the intake is where we would be able to figure out kind of what needs are supported or what accommodations might need to be required to be successful in the program. And all of that would go through like this meet and greet that we have. There's no cost to it. It's just you book on our website and we sit down, have a chat, and then we'll explore kind of what goals are, what needs are, what supports need to be done. And then we can see how we can accommodate in our programs or which program might be best for each person, depending depending on what they're after.
Great. Are there any restrictions to becoming a member of Aspire Community and Developmental Services, such as age or caregivers or family members, things of that nature?
Yes. So we do, one of the things that I like to keep at Aspire is that we don't have any age cutoff. So we start, I guess the one restriction would be we don't really go younger than 12, 13. So we start with teens and work our way into adulthood with no cutoff age. So we can keep it wide and broad. We actually have people right now in their 50s that we're supporting in some of our programming across the adult lifespan. And that would be the only, that's like the biggest one, is just like the teen age. And then some of our programs we do, we don't have the ability to support one-to-one if somebody were to require extra support. But if that were to be, someone were to require some extra support, we would look at if they had somebody they could bring with them, a caregiver, a support worker, to help support them in the program.
That's great. And without using any names, can you share a success story with me? What supports were put into place when someone asked for help?
Yeah, for sure. I've got a couple different ones. So the one I'm going to share is I was working with an high school student, and mom had come and said that student is really struggling in a biology class, but really needed to pass the class in order to graduate high school. I'm not a biology graduate. Biology is not my strength. And I thought, okay, this is great. Let's see if we can actually teach some executive functioning, some test taking skills, some study skills, and seeing if we can build that student up in that department and see if that would help to see success. So we worked on study skills and executive functioning. And when that student came to finish that course for their high school, they graduated with an 80%, which was amazing. Because we didn't do any tutoring, there was no criteria or like schoolwork support. It was all teaching some of those skills that were not all taught to that student. That student graduated high school, went on to college, graduated a 2-year program at college, and is now successfully working in that area of work and accomplishing other great goals that they might have. So that was one of our big success stories. And then we love to celebrate those small wins as well. So we have people that are working on social skills and meeting a new friend. That to us is just as big as someone graduating high school. We want to celebrate all of those little wins. We have people that have just recently got their license, their G1 license here in Ontario. So that gives them a driver's permit to start practicing in the car, which is really exciting, a goal that they might have. And that also might reduce one of those barriers, which is often transportation. Once someone has their license, now we're looking at potentially having access to a car, and now we've eliminated a barrier that might have been in their life. And one more success story that I really like to share is I had a mom come to me as well and say, my child is graduating high school and I don't know what's next. And then mom said to me, Becky, do you think they'll ever get a job? And I said, of course, we just have to work on a few of those pre-employment skills to build up their confidence, build up their skill repertoire, and they'll be out in the workforce in no time. We worked on those skills, some pre-employment skills, and that individual is now successfully working at McDonald's, and they have been working there for 3 years already, just by building up some of those employment skills and some executive functioning and some daily hygiene and lots of those skills. And now they're out they have a volunteer position, and they also work part-time at McDonald's.
I love when stories like this come up, and especially just to celebrate the small wins for any individual, regardless of what their disability might be. It is just so inspiring. It really shows how obstacles can be surmounted with just a little bit of effort, just a little bit of creative thinking outside the box. I'm always inspired to hear stories like this.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of our favorites as well, is because we like to base it too on those small steps are going to help us get those big goals. So we need to celebrate every step of the way, and everybody's step of the way looks different. So we need to celebrate and take that time to acknowledge that, hey, look how far we've come so far. This is amazing. And it's really cool when our young people can actually sit and acknowledge those wins, because their confidence will grow. Hey, look what I did. I did great things. And then their goals keep evolving. And now we see them doing amazing things because they're able to recognize super, super small steps along the way.
Most definitely. Now, what is the one thing that you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be, and how do we stop it?
I think one thing that comes to mind is the lack of accommodation or inclusion that we just have in our everyday life. So when you go to different stores or you're talking to different people, just with little tiny accommodations, our world would serve so many more people. So that could look like on a menu board at McDonald's, it's all in written print. What if somebody doesn't use written print as a way to communicate, but they use pictures? The pictures would be more helpful. Or having a menu that's printed so that somebody could use a text to speech device so that they could see what's on the menu. That would just empower someone so much more independent and so much more confidence they could order their own meal. I just think if our world had small accommodations and the everyday public was a little bit more aware of just supporting everyone, I think it would just be such a much better place for everyone. And especially with our folks with disabilities, they would feel more included. They would have more independence. And that's one thing that is really, it's challenging and frustrating for me is just seeing all the little barriers and people don't always recognize that they're barriers. Or another example could be not always paying attention to the button access for opening a door. There's been many times that I've gone to use one and the door button isn't working or something's not right. And that's just eliminated an entire possibility of somebody trying to get into that store, whether they're using a wheelchair or a walker, or maybe they just need a little bit of mobility support to keep the door open. I feel like that would be one of the things that I find that is the most challenging, is always seeing just little tiny things that could make the world a little bit more accessible for everyone.
I agree with you so much. And I myself am totally blind. Whenever I go to anywhere and even I want to use the button, sometimes I don't even know where the button actually is. So in most cases, it's just easier to feel around and hope nobody is barreling through the door. It's just easier to feel around to try and find the handle instead of looking for that button. And now what they've been doing is it's not even a button anymore. It's just a wave kind of device. But still, you have to find where exactly you're supposed to wave at or what you're supposed to, put your hand on or something in order for that to work. So and you're right, they don't always work.
Right. And it just becomes a huge barrier, but something so simple. It's just something so simple that someone could pay attention to. And you're right with the new wave doors. And I've often wondered too, like, how does somebody find that wave? Because it's often a flat surface where the button was circular and out a little bit from the wall usually, so you could actually feel a difference. Sometimes I often wonder, how do people find the wave one, because it does blend in a little bit more with like the wall that it might be on.
For sure. And I'm just also wondering, now that you bring that up, should the power go out somewhere, at least the button is more likely to still work. But this wave thing, since it's electronic, it will probably just completely shut down too.
Yes. And I'm not sure where everybody's from, but we've up in Northern Ontario, we had a power outage quite recently in April with a big ice storm, and it just eliminated all the power for multiple days at a time, which would have resulted in a lot of barriers that are additional to what we would face on a day when electricity was available.
It's terrible. Wow. So are there any events coming up for Aspire Community and Developmental Services?
We At the moment, we don't have any specific events. Our events are kind of the programs that we have going on. We have our summer programs just about to start, and then our weekly social clubs. Those are kind of the events. We are looking at a couple of things for the fall, which we don't have quite yet set in stone. But if anyone is ever wanting to, they can always send us some ideas or things they'd like to see. I'm happy to accept ideas and suggestions and see what the community wants as well, because that often bases our events and our programs onto what we're going to offer in our next quarter, or keep on the radar for the next time we are in our program phase.
Hey, great. And if someone wanted to become a member or volunteer with Aspire Community and Developmental Services, what is the process for becoming a member, and what's the process for becoming a volunteer?
Yeah, for sure. So to become a member, you just need to reach out. We've got our social club, which is a member. There's a member to that. A program member, if you'd like to be one of our program members, all we need to do is create a meet and greet, have a time to chat, see what works best, where are your goals, how do they align with the programs that we have here. And then for volunteers, we just need to reach out again. We can chat and see what somebody was interested in volunteering and doing, where do we need some support. And we can kind of go from there. So all it takes is just a quick email or phone call, and we can arrange something for anyone to meet with us.
Wonderful. That's great. And if listeners are looking for more information, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so we've got our website, which is www.aspireservices.ca. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Aspire Services Ontario is our handle, and by email at info@aspireservices.ca. And that takes you directly to me, where I can greet you, set up a time to meet, learn more about what your goals are, and hopefully be able to determine what kind of things you want to do and what we have going on and where we can offer our support.
Amazing. Okay. Well, we are out of time. Becky, thank you so much for speaking with us today. This concludes another Community Partners interview. I'm your host, Nafisah Anif. Let's care, let's share, because we've all been there.